Welcome to Virginia Chu's senior speech. Virginia joined Augusta Prep in the 9th grade, and in those 4 years, she has served our school with roles in NHS and student council, taking on the responsibility of vice president in both. She has participated and led in officer roles, the student section club, as well as participating in service club, both throughout all 4 years of upper school. Virginia has competed for prep in varsity soccer, varsity volleyball, and varsity basketball for 4 years, where she has led as either co-captain or captain in all 3 sports. Family here today include Virginia's mother and father, Ginger and Baxley Chu, her grandmother, Margaret Chu, her sister, Stella, and her brother, prep alum, Henry Chu. Let's all welcome them here today. Outside of prep, Virginia is a great babysitter. She is also active in Camp Ivy, as well as lead cotillion. Virginia is also in search of the truth. The truth is out there, and Virginia has been hard at work to bring it to us. So sit back, open your minds, and let Virginia help us better understand the world of conspiracy theories. Please welcome Virginia to the podium.
Have you ever thought about something so bizarre that it makes something else make sense, even if there's already a reasonable explanation? Well, this is what people have been doing for years, forming what are now considered conspiracy theories. Most of the time, they are explanations for tragic events that people want a different reasoning for other than the truth, especially if they are in denial over a traumatic experience. There is a psychological aspect to believing in conspiracy theories. According to Psych Central, quote, personality traits such as openness to experience, distrust, low agreeability, and Machiavellianism are associated with conspiracy belief, end quote. Machiavellianism means manipulativeness. Other reasons people are drawn to conspiracy theories isn't for the secret truth, but for pure enjoyment. That's why I like them. I enjoy reading and learning about different conspiracy theories to amuse myself, but also to try to understand opposing views from other people. There is not a perfect definition for conspiracy theory. Most definitions are biased by implying that they are false explanations for traumatic events, leading people to not believe in conspiracy theories. More neutral definitions do not mention them being wrong or unlikely to be true. The simplest definition from the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy that did not seem biased states that conspiracy theories, quote, refer to a theory or explanation that features a conspiracy among a group of agents as central ingredient, end quote. I know this is not a perfect definition for conspiracy theory, given that it has both the words conspiracy and theory in its definition, but it was the best that I found that was unbiased. Conspiracy theories have been around for a long time. They used to be shared from one person to another during gossip sessions with friends or over long distance by letters. They have only recently had such a big following thanks to fast communication between different people across the world from the internet. On social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter, it is easy for conspiracy theories to gain big followings and people to gather in groups and share their own personal beliefs and tie together more convincing evidence. A famous YouTuber, Shane Dawson, made a 3-episode documentary about conspiracy theories that received 48 million views on the first episode. Dawson is known for his videos, which are usually music video parodies, film parodies, and short web films. In his first conspiracy video, he talks about the 2018 California wildfires and the Woolsey fire and their real causes. In his second video, he discusses Chuck E. Cheese's recycled pizza theory and a few other lesser-known ones. When I asked Sage Conley what she knew about conspiracy theories, she said that if I'm going to be writing about them, I need to watch Shane Dawson's videos about them. She said most of what she knew about conspiracy theories were from him, and now she loves them. Thanks to the internet, there are people around the world who now know so much more about conspiracy theories, including Sage Conley. When I asked a few of my classmates a simple question, what's your favorite conspiracy theory? I got some funny and very interesting responses. When I asked Katie Sinnix, she responded that pigeons are spies for the government, or that the sun is fake. It's just a way to force our bodies onto a schedule to be manipulated. When I asked her brother Jack Sinnix, he answered with, the one that's like the government is putting chemicals in the water to make frogs gay. Arisa, Mary Frances, and Sarah all responded together saying Helen Keller wasn't blind and deaf. She faked it. Although none of these responses will be featured in my speech, I want to show y'all that conspiracy theories can be created with some of the most random findings. conspiracy theories that are most interesting to me, however, are some of the more well-known and most heard of theories. I'm going to be focusing on these specific theories: the moon landings in 1969, John F. Kennedy's assassination, and Princess Diana's death. We all know that in 1969, Neil Armstrong took the first steps on the moon and said, quote, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," end quote. Even though we all know this is basic information, there are people who do not really believe they went to the actual moon. When President John F. Kennedy was in office, he gave $30 billion to NASA in an attempt to win the space race. But conspiracists believe they never reached the moon and instead think they took the famous pictures in another conspiracy hotspot, Area 51, which is located in the Nevada desert. There are some possible reasons as to why people believe they never reached the moon and fake the whole thing. For starters, there are no visible stars in any of the pictures from when they landed. Conspiracists find that extremely strange. Since you can see them on Earth, why can't you see them on the moon? A simple explanation to this is that even though there are stars in space, the moon's atmosphere is too thin to pick up the stars in a picture. But since Earth's atmosphere is much thicker, they are visible to us. Also, in nearly every picture, the flag is not limp as one would expect, but it is waving. This seems quite impossible since there is no wind on the moon, and to me, this is the most significant evidence as to how they faked it. However, the astronauts have said that it was waving because of the force of the impact of the flag being struck into the moon's surface. Lastly, where the spaceship landed on the moon, one would expect there to be a disturbance around the spaceship. In pictures such as this one, you can see the moon, that there is still moon dust and no significant indentions to the moon's surface from where the spaceship landed, which is weird because if a machine weighing thousands of pounds landed on the moon, there should be evidence of it. Even though scientists give such reasons as the ones I've listed about why these strange things occur, that does not mean everyone believes it. There are still thousands of people around the U.S. that believe the U.S. faked the whole thing. Books like We Never Went to the Moon, America's $30 Billion Swindle by Bill Casey, and movies such as Capricorn 1 and A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon have helped the conspiracy theory that the moon landing was fake stay alive even today. In 1960, when John F. Kennedy was elected to president, there were a lot of outside sources that helped him. His father, Joseph Kennedy, played a big role in his election. He was a multimillionaire who was selected to reform Wall Street after the 1929 crash. He also had loose ties to the mafia and would ask them with business and political help. He got caught up in the mafia during Prohibition when he was a bootlegger. Because of these mafia connections, he could get major leaders such as Sam Giancana from Chicago and Santo Cipriano Jr. from Tampa to help gain support from their subordinates in their cities. Joseph Kennedy received help from other major leaders as well in other parts of the country. The mafia leaders believed they played a large role in JFK's narrow victory over Richard Nixon, so they thought that they would be protected by the Kennedys. Much to the mafia's discontent, JFK selected his brother, Robert Kennedy, as his attorney general when he took office. Robert didn't know about his father's corruption of the election and had two major goals as attorney general. One, get rid of the organized crime, mafia, and two, to dissolve the mob's corrupt affiliation with labor unions. The mafia didn't like being more closely looked at by the FBI thanks to Robert, but if they just got rid of him, which wouldn't be too hard for the mafia, then JFK would likely go after the mafia even harder. But if JFK somehow died, then Robert would be relieved of his position as Attorney General, which would be a major motive for the mafia killing JFK. Lee Harvey Oswald was the man that pulled the trigger on JFK and killed him, so it said. Yes, Oswald did shoot him, but it's highly unlikely that he acted alone. 2 days later, Oswald was killed by Jack Ruby, and both of these men had ties to the New Orleans mafia boss, Carlos Marcello, who was just below Meyer Lansky and the Gambino family in terms of power, which meant he was one of the most powerful men in the country in terms of mafia. It is believed that Ruby killed Oswald to make sure he kept quiet about the mafia's role in JFK's assassination. This is just one theory about how Oswald didn't act alone in killing JFK. There are dozens of others, but to me, this seems the most plausible. I bet everyone here knows one of the most famous women in the late 1900s and exactly how she died. It was reported that on August 31st, 1997, Princess Diana and her rumored boyfriend, Jody Alfay, were being chased by the paparazzi in a private car. The car was going 75 miles per hour when it crashed into a white Fiat Uno in the tunnel beneath the Pont de l'Homme. The driver of the car, Henry Paul, also died with them. There have been rumors surrounding her death since it happened, all of which believe her death was in fact not an accident. Dodi's father, Muhammad Al-Fayed, is one of the believers that it was not an accident. He thinks Prince Philip of Wales had Diana killed because she was supposedly pregnant with Dodi's child that would result in being the Muslim half-brother of the second and third in line to the throne, Princes William and Harry. His story would make sense, considering it would be a major blowout of the royal family for Diana to have another man's child while not married after being divorced from Prince Charles for only a year. Supporting this is that all the security cameras facing the entrance of the tunnel were turned off before she went to the tunnel, and the driver of the white Fiat Uno was never identified. Another highly believed conspiracy surrounding her death is that she faked her own death so she would no longer have to live such a high-profile lifestyle. But Muhammad's story is much more believed because no one thinks Diana would have voluntarily left behind William and Harry. I have always loved conspiracy theories, which is why I decided to do my speech on them. My dad has always talked to me about JFK and the Mafia and the conspiracy surrounding his death. And of the three theories I discussed today, it's definitely my favorite and the one I personally really do believe. I don't think Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in killing him, but I don't have a step-by-step belief in what actually happened. I think Princess Diana's death is suspicious, but I don't know if I can believe Prince Philip and the royal family had her killed off, just because that seems very out of character for the royals. I don't, however, believe the moon landings were fake. I think they really did go to the moon, but I find it interesting to read about the moon landing hoax. My favorite thing about conspiracy theories is that you can't prove something doesn't exist. You can say it doesn't, but that doesn't make it true, and that is the beauty and danger of conspiracy theories. So when someone is trying to disprove a theory, you just have to keep giving them more to disprove. And the same goes for your belief about anything and everything. Whenever you encounter an experience or someone else's opinion, look deep and find an explanation for yourself. Don't believe everything you hear.